We stand here today in front of a wonderful mural of a phoenix, the sign of renewal. I'm proud to kick off Main Street Milwaukee, the program today so we can begin the hard work of renewing 4 of our traditional main streets. Milwaukee's always been a city of neighborhoods, and along with neighborhoods come main streets, places where people can walk to get the things they need for daily life, really something that contributes to the quality of urban life. And what we want to do is make sure, not just here on 27th Street, but in many different neighborhoods throughout the city, that we're making it possible for us to make main streets even stronger.
These are the 4 new Main Street districts in Milwaukee. North 27th Street from West Highland Boulevard south to St. Paul Avenue. West National Avenue from 31st Street west to 39th. Burleigh Street, Sherman Boulevard west to 60th, and Lincoln Avenue, 5th Street west to 20th.
We're a stronger city when we learn to combine our efforts. In this case, we're pooling our dollars with private dollars. Our partner is the Milwaukee Local Initiative Support Corporation, which many of us know as LISC. Together, we're focusing a number of specific renewal services, such as marketing and small business recruitment, to help neighborhood groups revitalize their neighborhood Main Street.
The North 27th Street district developed as a retail center between 1880 and 1920. It has the feel of a small downtown and is already benefiting from revitalization efforts by the West End Development Corporation in the 6 neighborhoods that surround it.
I'd like to take a moment to highlight for you some of the things about the Sohi district. You may have heard of Soho, south of Houston in New York, Soma, south of Market in San Francisco, but today you are in Milwaukee's own Sohi, south of Highland district. Yes, go ahead and clap. So what will you find in Sohi? It is a dense and diverse mix of retail, residential, and professional services. It is home to a growing arts and cultural presence, which soon includes the Pevnik Design and Ardent Studios, City Ballet, and soon Bruce City Forge, and many others. The surrounding neighborhoods include historic homes, affordable apartments, Milwaukee's only bed and breakfast district, and for the first time later this year, the affordable live-work condominiums of West Point. Together, these elements comprise the dense and diverse character that makes the Sohi district such a great location to do business in.
Serving as a gateway to the near south side, the West National Avenue Main Street district has already seen a lot of revitalization as the Silver City Commercial District. The Layton Boulevard West neighbors and others have created a strong momentum for further improvements.
The history of the Silver City District, for those of you who are unfamiliar with our area, is that around the turn of the century, the residents that lived in what is now the Silver City Main Street neighborhood would go into the Menominee Valley and work in the industries there. They'd be paid in silver dollars, and they would take their silver dollars onto National Avenue and spend it there. A passerby noticed all the money sitting on one of the saloon bars one time and said, "Oh, this must be Silver City." So at that time it became known as the Silver City. The name kind of faded. Then in 2002, when the business owners were looking for an identity for the street, they chose Silver City as their identity to link the history of the area with the present. Also, an interesting point of the history is that at that time there was a mixed immigrant culture, as there is now. Milwaukee gets kind of a bad reputation as being one of the most segregated cities in the nation, and I think if you come to National Avenue to the Silver City District, you'll see something different, because we have a great variety of ethnic business owners that run businesses there. We have Asian business owners, we have Hispanic business owners, we have Middle Eastern business owners, Native American business owners, and of course Caucasian business owners. So what I'd like to do is invite you to come to the Silver City District for an international experience.
The vision for the Burleigh Street Commercial Business District is to create what's being called a village shopping district for the residents of the greater Sherman Park community. Burleigh Street Community Development Corporation is the management group for a street that has also shown marked improvement.
We are good businesses and good neighbors. And if ever that was brought out and shown to us, it was in our drive to receive this Main Street designation. We had 15 of our neighbors and our business owners participate in writing the application, and we received 150 letters of support from our neighbors, and countless volunteers are now just waiting. On Burleigh Street, though, we have the most amazing neighbors. We're part of Sherman Park, most beautiful housing stock in Milwaukee, and we have a Sherman Park Community Association. We have the Sherman Park Association of Religious Communities. We have our good neighbor, the St. Joe's Regional Medical Center, and we have countless business owners, property owners, and neighbors who are willing to dig into this project. We, like our other main streets, invite you to come and enjoy what we have on Burleigh Street, but we really can't wait for you guys to all come and see what we become.
With the help of the Lincoln Village Business Association, Lincoln Avenue from 5th to 20th Street is already in the Wisconsin Main Street program. A variety of distinctive businesses that serve the entire community have sparked a resurgence in this neighborhood.
First off, let me ask for your patience. When a Main Street is starting out, we know in our experience that it takes a good 12, 18 months to get everything in place. You get your eager volunteers together, and they're anxious to lead them, and you have to help them out and figure out what your game plan is, and that's what's really going to be taking place in this first year as we've started going through those growing pains ourselves. We've established Main Street on Lincoln Avenue, and we're very excited about the numbers we've put together. Through the efforts of Main Street, there's been a net gain of over 70 jobs on Lincoln Avenue and over $4 million in private investment in the last 3 years. The Lincoln Village neighborhood has many assets, including great buildings. Many of you know the St. Josephat Basilica is there, Kosciuszko Park, and many valuable business owners and property owners that really make this thing work. So I invite you to explore Lincoln Avenue, the over 100 viable businesses on the street, and we look forward to working with you in the Main Street program and making it a success in Milwaukee and expanding it even further.
We will not change these streets overnight. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it also takes a village to revitalize these great main streets. These 4 districts are off to a good start with strong community partners taking the lead, but they will need the help of everyone.
You can see an 8-foot alligator at Marineland on Villard Avenue, but you can't buy one in Milwaukee. The pet store has a special permit to own it. But if you are interested in something out of the ordinary, there are plenty of opportunities. How about some red-tailed piranha, a bearded dragon, a red-tailed boa constrictor, some Mali Euromastic, that's an African lizard, maybe an eel. You get the idea. If it's not considered to be dangerous by city ordinance, it can usually be sold in city pet shops. The Department of Neighborhood Services is responsible for most animal control activities, including an overview of pet shops.
All pet shops in the city of Milwaukee are required to have what's called an occupancy permit. And in order to get an occupancy permit, we do an inspection, and we do an annual inspection. What we look for when we enter the store is the cleanliness of the store, the health of the animals. We make sure that the feed is contained properly, no sign of rodents or things of that nature. We're here annually for inspections. Sometimes we get calls from citizens that feel that maybe the store is not up to what they think standard is, and we'll come out and do an additional inspection. But basically, stores in Milwaukee are up to standards.
Other parts of the city law governing animals make it illegal to keep animals in Milwaukee that habitually disturb the peace. When not on the owner's property, animals must be on a leash and under control. No matter what you call animal litter, city laws require that it be cleaned up and disposed of properly. Much more on the city animal ordinance later. Is your dog or cat missing? The city no longer performs animal capture services. Stray and unwanted dogs or cats, occasionally reptiles and exotic animals, are now the responsibility of the Milwaukee Area Domestic Animal Control Commission. Strays are taken to its headquarters at 38th and Burnham.
We provide 24-hour coverage of emergency coverage, which would include hit-by-car dogs, bite cases, helping with police requested assistance. We provide coverage from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. for picking up strays or unwanted animals. We also do educational services. We just recently finished up with a training program with the U.S. Post Office and training their workers how not to be bitten by dogs. Also, we worked with Wisconsin Energies, and we're looking at broadening that aspect for people that are dealing with that on their day-to-day job. We also go to schools and work with children on animals and what responsible pet ownership is and how to stay safe around stray animals or animals that they're not aware of. So those are some of the services we provide. We provide euthanasia for owners that no longer want to care for their pet, and it's that time and they've made the decision to come in and have that animal put to sleep humanely. We also provide all the holding services for unwanted or even owned bite case animals. Those are the animals that are involved in bite and have to go through a 10-day rabies observation.
The animal control facility receives an average of 37 animals a day, over 13,000 in a year. The vast majority are dogs and cats. This is the place to check if your pet is missing.
Every stray animal that comes through the shelter, and you can visit our website, it's www.madacc.com. Click on Lost a Pet, and you can view the animals that are currently housed at the shelter. By law, we hold all animals 7 full days. All animals that come in as a stray are held for that period of time.
If you don't have access to a computer, you can come to the MADAC shelter and check through the list of missing animals on their computer in the lobby. You'll find animals other than cats and dogs here. Rabbits are a common sight in the building, and there are others.
A wide variety of exotics that we do handle, anything from rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs on up to rattlesnakes, alligators, cougars, leopards, and other different exotics that are roaming around throughout Milwaukee County.
Like many of the exotics, this small alligator was found after its owner was evicted from his apartment and left it behind. The shelter gets about 460 exotic animals a year, including a dozen alligators.
They obtain them over the internet. There's various ways of obtaining these, especially the reptiles and things like that, the exotics that aren't your common ones that you would find in a pet store. There are times we've had a lot of iguanas that have been left loose. We've had rattlesnakes that came to us by means of an individual who put them in a box, left them on someone's porch, in a pillowcase, put reptile in there. When he opened the box lid, heard the tails rattling, we got the call to come pick them up.
Selkert says many of the animals picked up by the shelter have just been abandoned by owners who are often not prepared to care for them. And with exotics, there's a second concern.
With the monkeypox that was brought in with prairie dogs, it's really easy to see that some of these exotic pets, especially the ones that are captured in wild and all of a sudden confined, can be bringing in diseases that the United States hasn't been experienced, or that people aren't common with. There's just a wide variety of things. Reptiles are real common with salmonella that you can get just from the handling and exposure to their dirty cages. So husbandry, and then zoonotic disease potential, as well as injury, are good reasons not to be getting involved with exotics like that. Our whole thing is trying to promote responsible pet ownership, and being a responsible pet owner goes respecting not only the animal itself and how you treat it, but also how does it interplay with society.
When animals are not reclaimed, they are assessed for adoption placement. If suitable, they're taken to the Wisconsin Humane Society at 45th and Wisconsin.
Well, the Wisconsin Humane Society is an animal welfare organization that looks out for the welfare of animals in our community. We're very focused on education, we're focused on adoption, we're focused on our veterinary services for our animals here, and of course our wildlife rehabilitation. So we're here for the community to be a resource to help animals in the Milwaukee area.
There are as many as 6,000 adoptions a year at the Wisconsin Humane Society, dogs and cats of course, but people also adopt rabbits, birds, and small animals like gerbils and hamsters.
We showcase a variety of animals on a daily basis that are looking for good permanent homes. We ask that people really do their homework before they come in and adopt, to think about what type of animal would be best for their family, for their lifestyle, and once they make a decision to come on down and take a look at the animals, we have them work with an adoption counselor. So the counselor goes, lets them meet the animal, goes through all of the requirements as far as care and personality, that kind of thing, with the family. They must provide proof of home ownership. We want to make sure that, or landlord approval, that it's okay that they have an animal at their home. And we really want them to make a good informed decision. We see how they interact with the animal. We show them a variety of animals that might work out well in their family. And we ask that kids are available to interact with the animal if there are kids in the family as well. A lot of our programs are education driven. We provide programs for children with regard to kindness to animals. We always want to promote kindness to animals in all the programs that we do. Our entire building is one educational extravaganza. We've got a lot of information throughout the shelter that people can stop and look at and really get educated with everything from what type of dog might be best suited to a family, to preventing any problems from occurring, to training, a variety of issues. So we're always looking to educate the public.
While the Humane Society can help you, you can also help the shelter with volunteer opportunities.
We have such a variety of opportunities for people. Anybody is interested, give us a call, because they can interact with the animals and they really do provide a great service.
Got a problem with a skunk in your window well, raccoons in the attic, or tearing at your garbage cans? For help with native or migratory wildlife species, you can contact a private trapping and pest removal service or another department of the Wisconsin Humane Society.
Our goal is to rescue, rehabilitate, and release native wild animals. And another function that we have is to help talk people through nuisance problems they may be having with wildlife, and also to help advocate for wild animals in the city here and help prevent injury, fear, pain, and disruption for wildlife in the first place.
The Wisconsin Humane Society's Wildlife Rehabilitation Center annually receives and cares for over 5,000 injured, sick, and orphaned wild animals like this blue heron. It has seen some 150 different species of animals, many of them familiar to our area, many are not.
We'll admit anything here, from snapping turtles to great horned owls and white-tailed deer and all sorts of creatures. Any native wild creature that you can think of that can fly over or live in Milwaukee County, we've admitted here for care. A creature that's relatively sedentary, like a gray squirrel. If it's an adult gray squirrel, once we rehabilitate it, we'd try and get it back to the neighborhood it came from, because that's where it knows where everything is that it needs. Its food, water, shelter are all there. For juveniles, if we get in a baby raccoon, for instance, and we rehabilitate that, we would not take it back to where it came from in the city, because it needs to learn. We don't want it to become a nuisance animal by being let go again in the city and trying to find its way and find food in the city. So those creatures will go out to private lands.
In addition to helping animals in the Wildlife Hospital, the center provides advice to thousands of callers about injured, sick, orphaned, or nuisance wild animals.
If people see healthy animals and they have questions about it, they wonder, why is this animal in my yard, or is it dangerous or not, and anything about it, there's a variety of resources they can call. They can call one of the nature centers around, but they can certainly call us, and we'll talk to them about the natural history of this animal, why it's in their yard, what it might be looking for at a particular time of year, and how they can deal with coexisting with that animal, and ideally appreciating it. If they find injured, sick, or orphaned animals, or animals they think are any one of those three things, again, we invite them to call us and we'll talk them through it. Sometimes they think things may be injured or orphaned. For instance, this season right now in the summertime, we get a lot of calls from people who have found fledgling birds, for instance, wild birds, be it a mourning dove or a baby robin or something, and they'll immediately jump to the conclusion that it's orphaned. And in fact, it's probably a fledgling that has its parent taking care of it, but the parent's not there all the time. The parent has to go out, find things to feed the youngster, fly back, feed it for a short period of time, fly out again. So we'll counsel people about watching that animal and trying to determine whether it's truly orphaned or not, whether it's truly injured or not.
You can also visit the center, check out their wildlife gallery, view a behind-the-scenes video about the work of the Wild Animal Hospital, walk through the animal house to learn how to animal-proof your home.
We get thousands of phone calls a year, sometimes 125 a day, from people asking us, I have a chipmunk in my dryer vent, raccoons are getting in my garbage cans, something's in my chimney, something's living under my deck, all sorts of things like that. It's very, very common. So we have both our animal house here. We invite people to come in, look around the animal house. It's a walk-through model. It shows various aspects actually it shows things that animals can get into that you may not want them to get into. Raccoons getting into garbage cans, a simple solution is use bungee cords across the top of the can, prevent them from getting in there. Cap your chimney to keep animals from getting in the chimney. Some animals get in the chimney and they can't get out. So you do yourself and the animals a favor by animal-proofing your house.
Animal shelters receive many calls from people who are not equipped to care for their pets, be they cats and dogs or exotic animals. Many of them are simply abandoned, and the Humane Society says that's irresponsible.
And unfortunately, it's very common for people to just dump things in parks. They think, well, I don't want this anymore, it can be free out here. And these animals are, from their perspective, not equipped for survival. And in terms of populations, in terms of the health of wildlife in general, releasing a creature that could have a disease that's transmissible to other wild creatures would be devastating. If this monkeypox business had gotten out into the wild, it would have been absolutely devastating for native wildlife. So under no circumstances should anyone release exotic creatures to the wild.